𝙖𝙜𝙖𝙬𝙗 is a player we chased hard, and we also have signed a striker from who played 20 caps for India actually. So 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙗, and he's a year and a half ago played in the Indian Super League.
Well, hello, you wonderful people, and welcome back to the Blacktown Premier League podcast. Of course, our men's Premier League 1 and 2 are brought to you by Lang and Simmons Blacktown. Thank you to our sponsor for helping us bring the premier of the men's competitions in Blacktown to you. This is episode 4, and you're about to discover that some of our teams have brought in some extremely interesting players, and you're about to learn their names too. And once you do, you're going to be shocked. My name is 𝙗𝙬𝙬𝙗𝙪𝙧𝙮. Thank you for being here, and cue that intro music. Here come workers on! But it's fallen here towards 𝙖𝙜𝙖𝙖𝙞!
Oh my word!
To find her teammate in 𝙖𝙜𝙖𝙖𝙗𝙪𝙧𝙮, and now played and struck and in! People, Ryan Dominici! And further forward now to Newbury!
We're all ready to play, and yeah, we'll go out and smoke it this time.
Now, after a very interesting opening round of the Premier League, men's and women's across all of our competitions, allow me to take you through some of those highlights right now. And while we do that, we'll talk about some results. We'll start in the Women's Premier League, where Holroyd Rangers, the champions from the inaugural season of the competition, picked up a 9-0 win over Ropes Crossing. Kellyville Colts, the reigning champions, picked up a 5-1 win in the match of the round, which is the highlights package that you're watching right now. Mariong, I told you they were a team revitalised. They've got a 5-3 win over Castle Hill United. Two new teams faced each other in the first round, and Ponds and Kellyville. And guess who came away on top? Kellyville United, 2-1. Quakers Hill Juniors certainly doing their best to kickstart their premiership title hopes with a 3-1 win over Rouse Hill Rams. And finally, Parklea picked up a 4-2 win over Norwest, and what we said would be a fun game, and 6 goals certainly proves that it was. There's obviously no real point in talking about the table right now, but from a 9-0 win, you can tell that the goal difference of Holroyd's win will put them on top of the table for now. Men's Premier League 1 match of the round, which of course the highlights of which you are watching now, including some of the big talking points from the games, ended 1-0 in the Ryan Memorial Cup to Quakers Hill Juniors. Their first win over Doonside in 4 years, their first win in 5 attempts of winning in the Ryan Dimmick Memorial Cup as well. Mariong and Ponds played the game of the season, arguably in round 1, a 4-2 win for Mariong, where Kelvin Ofori picked up a hat-trick of free kicks. Polonia Rams started their life back in PL1 with a 4-0 loss to Eastern Creek, while Riverston picked up a 5-2 win over Quakers Hill Tigers. Workers, as you know, had the bye. It actually puts Eastern Creek on top of the table right now. They're 4-0, meaning that their goal difference is the best so far. But again, after round 1, not really worth talking about. So now that you know the results, and you've seen some of the highlights that go with it as well, let's talk about what's happening in this episode. We'll start with the interview that I think was most intriguing and eye-opening. And before we go and chat to Newbury, I just want to say one quick sentence. Keep your mind open when you watch this, because they're daring to dream this year. Newbury Bulls not only provide a bit of spark on the pitch, but they also provide probably the nicest podcast venue we've ever recorded out of. Thanks very much to the 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 for hosting us in the conference room tonight. I'm joined by Raj and his son and goalkeeper for this year, Varun, and also Leo, who's joined the coaching staff this year. Boys, just generally, thanks very much for joining me. Raj, I'm going to go straight to you. It's been an interesting off-season of from what I've just learnt, started very early. So take me through those first days in November back out in the park. And walk me through all your pre-season, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for inviting us, and hi to everyone. Look, we started in November early. We actually did some formal trials, tried to encourage some players to come, and the club is starting on a new foot. So we're trying to build some really good, strong contacts. And so Leo and I decided that, you know what, we'll need to do some really good groundwork and attract some players, because we haven't been in the competition very long. And so we started in November, and we did a formal advertising, get people down, and we had a good reaction actually. So it was good, and then that lasted for about a month, and then we didn't finalise the team because we couldn't. We really needed to sign some players, and so we needed to see them in trial games. So we started our pre-season with we had 7 trial games. So it was hot trial games, and we got players come in, trial at the same time, see how they went, looked at the structure. Leo and I discussed pretty much every day, and it's we went all over town to look for players, and it was fun. It's been a good pre-season. It was hot pre-season, like on the Saturdays, but We played Marryong in the first game. I think we played Riverstone in the last game. And in between, we had a number of PL1, PL2 clubs that were looking for trials. So it was really good.
So I'm now going to ask Veron as to what he thinks are some of the major changes that he's noticed from last year, which, as everybody in the comp knows, was Newbury's development year, a very young squad in terms of their average age. What do you think the learnings were from last year, and how are you taking that into this year, if you can speak on behalf of the boys?
Yeah, cool, yeah. So, as you said, Mark, we were a very young squad last year. So, this year we've obviously included our higher age average, and I think that brings a lot of experience, not only because the age, but of where the boys that we've recruited have played. You know, they've played in higher leagues than PL1, PL2, and you know their experience that they bring to the team is a lot more than what we had last year. And I guess with last year, some of the struggles we had, you know, is just, you know, I would say physically, but also mentally against, you know, some of the stronger PL2 sides, because, you know, we're playing against adults now as like young men or, you know, teenagers. It's a bit hard just, you know, playing your first season against men. And yeah, I guess most of the boys now, they're used to it, they're hungry, and, you know, they want more this season. So yeah, that's it.
Excellently put. Leo, you're new to the coaching staff this year and also new to the podcast as well, so thanks very much for joining us here. Talk to me about some of the players that you've brought across with you. What's your plan to integrate them and keep progressing them on? Because I hear that they're a bit of a younger batch themselves, of course.
Okay. Yeah, well, I brought along from AYL, basically brought players across that can pass the ball, they can read the game, and basically good football heads on them. We're very blessed to have the talent that we do have in the young ones, and also working through that, we've picked up a few older players to help through with the muscling through the first grade team, and basically we just keep on building, and the more players we come across, they like what they see and they're signing, which is quality at the moment, and I guess showing. This weekend's game is going to be an interesting one against Prospect, and hopefully the boys can perform and play that the way that we've been training and going through all of the trial games as well.
Mm-hmm. Let's get a bit black and white and less grey about some of these signings. So Raj, I want to hear some of the names that have come through, because as far as I'm concerned, from some of the names I've seen, there'll be people from not just the PL2 but the PL1 who would have heard some of the players that you picked up on. So give me a couple of names if you're willing to share. And
Ethan Desange is you know, a player we chased hard, and he's come across, and he runs our academy. So we had a good discussion with him about what he brings to the team, and he's played NPL, but his travels have been to under 23s Bolton and things like that. You probably might have heard of him. So that's one of the names. And then we also have signed a striker from who played 20 caps for India, actually. So Manandeep Singh, and he's just in his early 30s, but you know he's a big signing for us, and so he brings a lot of, you know, plays in the ISL in India. So just a few years ago, and then we've also got 𝙉𝙚𝙬𝙗𝙪𝙧𝙮 as probably, you know, competition of Veron, but, you know, we want to develop him as well. So 𝙉𝙚𝙬𝙗𝙪𝙧𝙮 also a year and a half ago played in the Indian Super League with about 30 or 40,000 people. So, you know, they are probably our notable signings from that, and there's a lot of other quality there. We bring a few NPL boys. Raf Sual comes from Hawks. Yeah, and so, yeah.
There you go. There's the headline of the podcast for you right there. Some international caps has joined up on our men's Premier League. That's very exciting, and I'm sure we'll explore it more. And next time that you guys have a match of the round, he is to be here. That is a threat to make sure that he's here. Veron, let's talk about what that means for the expectations this year, because it raises the level. You guys in first grade, which is obviously the league that I follow closest, but in first grade you weren't necessarily competing for finals until the final day. So you guys kind of clocked out of that race early. Yep. Obviously you want to be a lot closer, if not up there, and competing for, I reckon, probably first place from what it sounds like. So am I right in saying that? Is that your expectations for the year?
Yeah, look, honestly, we're taking it one day at a time. We're not going to put too much pressure on ourselves right now. You know, and each week it's not a set in stone squad. Resi's first grade we fluctuate because we pick the best 11 for each week. And look, as you said, expectations. We want to win the league. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing this podcast. But you can say that for every other team in the league. But I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't want to put pressure on the boys. And we just want to play our football. That's literally it. So show the league what we can do, what Newbury can do this year. And there we go.
Good. I like that answer, but I'm here to apply a little bit more pressure. So I'm going to go to Leo, only because he'll be on the sideline and he won't be the one kicking the ball out there. With the players that we've talked about and some of the words that have been used, obviously the expectations do go up. What do you think the sort of minimum expectation for the boys is? Because it sounds like this ceiling has been raised quite high.
Well, it has, but as coming new players, there's always a building curve with every club, especially when you join. Expectations really comes down to the boys. There are dreams. Football's made of those dreams. And when you run onto the pitch, anything can happen, as we all know, even in World Cup standards. Are we a threat? Time will tell. And as each game goes by, you'll be able to comment on us and also give us insight of also what we're doing right and wrong. But if we're a threat, I'm sure we'll be interviewed a lot more.
I like the way you put it. You know how I work. Raj, we're going to wrap it up with one last question, and that's actually to do with the match of the round itself this weekend, which is what we're actually here to do. But these first ones of the season always turn into a bit of a sort of wrap-up of the previous 6 months or so. But anyway, back on point. You're playing against a prospect team who have just been relegated. They've got a new coach, and they have a new, I would say, way of approaching football. They have a clean slate. Now, I'm not sure, and not just because I haven't interviewed them yet, to provide some context, but I'm not sure if they're going to be implementing a long-term project, if they're trying to bounce back up straight away. So we've got no idea. So this is a really tough team to compete against because you've got no idea what they're going to throw. So how do you compete with so much unknown and grey area?
We probably just focus on ourselves, and that's what we've been doing for the last 6 months in recruitment and everything like that. We won't take the game lightly, of course. But anything can happen on the day, and it's a first round, so I think it's going to be helter-skelter for everyone. Everyone wants to prove a point. I believe that they're looking to bounce back to go up there. They're a good club, respect them a lot, and I think we'll just see on the day, I suppose, and we're looking forward to it. And good luck to them, and good luck to us.
One last thing I actually ask you, just about the style of play. If you'd like to give us a formation and not get in trouble from your dad, sure. But what can we expect from minute one?
I won't give the formation, but the style of play that we like to tiki-taka. Yes, that's perfect from what Coach Leo said. But all the boys there, I'm gonna waffle on a bit, but all the boys there, they love football, so we're gonna hold the ball, dominate the game, and that's the style of play. We want to be, the machines of the league. And we're not gonna back away from a challenge. We're not gonna back away from a fight. But we want to keep the ball. That's what we want, and we want to score goals. There we go.
Excellent, and it's good to hear a team back themselves right from the word go, and not just sort of let a few results speak for themselves, but they're willing to back themselves and back their quality and back their ambitions with hopefully some bite come this weekend. Gentlemen, thanks very much for not only coming out here at almost 9:30 now on a Wednesday night, but just participating and giving us such great content to now share among the league. This is certainly going to be a big talking point, and it will headline this podcast most certainly. So congratulations on earning that, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
20 capped international. 2 ISL players, 𝙖𝙜𝙖𝙖𝙬🧘. Leave a like if you think Newbury might be good this year. Leave a like if you've ever had a beer with the Edamoga as well. I'm expecting at least 50 likes now. Moving swiftly on, because this is already a very lengthy episode, we're going to go to their rivals now. Prospect, a chance to redeem themselves this season for the boys from William Lawson Reserve, which, by the way, thank you to the guys for letting me film this here today. I think they're going to grab it with 2 hands and squeeze onto it tightly. Here is why I think that's the case. It's been a while since we've last been at William Lawson Reserve, and it's been a while since we've talked to the Prospect boys, but I'm very grateful to be back here Now, interestingly, we've had 2 relegated teams before Prospect in years gone by. Polonia, they went for a complete clean slate in terms of their team and coaching setup. And then we saw Parkley do something of the complete opposite, where they kept a lot of their boys together and stuck around to see if they could sort of replenish that vibe. These guys have done something in between that. And while we've got 2 very familiar faces here today, I can promise you that come Saturday night, their squad will be a mix of old and some brand new faces as well. So we're going to get keen for that when it does come around. But Adam, and to Nick Walker. Nick, welcome to the podcast as well. Adam, you're a very familiar face, particularly on these live streaming podcasts. So thanks for being back here. As an end note to last year, I just want to touch on it first. We could talk about a million things that went wrong, but what do you think the main thing was? Could you summarise the biggest perpetrator of last year?
Yeah, look, it came down to the decisions that were made. I don't think they were the right for what we had going for us. It's football in the end. You know, we carried on with what we had. We fought through it. We know what we want to do now. And look, it's in the past.
Nick, there was a scenario, and this is, I promise, the last question about last year. So don't worry, we're going to move on to the good stuff soon. But there was a scenario last year where you came up against a team, and the majority of the reserve graded ended up backing up for a second match to play 180 minutes. Now we see individuals do that. We don't see almost the entire team do that. So from that kind of experience, if you could speak on behalf of the boys, what was that like? And I can't imagine it was a great day in terms of the mental and physical state of yours by the end of it.
Yeah, it was definitely tough. The first time we did it wasn't too bad. Most of us backed up, played that first grade. I think after about the 3rd or 4th game after that, we kind of just started running out of legs, running out of bodies. Our 21 stepped up to help out, which was great. Unfortunately, a lot of our first graders sort of disappeared. Went overseas with a one-way ticket, and that was about it. So it definitely made it difficult. After I think we got to that 4th week, most of the boys were either sore, injured, a lot of little niggles, and I think that's why we ended up just going, we just can't play a first grade game after I think that 4th time. So it was unfortunate. It wasn't who we are as a team, but unfortunately we were in that position. 4
back-to-back 180 weekends in a row is quite something, and I'm sure people will be able to empathise with that. But I'm sure lessons have been learnt from the top down. I'm sure you'll be hoping that lessons have been learnt at least. Let's look towards now. So there was obviously a returning crop of some guys who have made this podcast extra entertaining over the last couple of years, and I'm sure that we'll get them back on come the second round of games. But I want to talk about some new faces. That's what people are here to learn about, what's new. So obviously a lot of your NPL boys will drop down and look to make themselves available for the NPL in years to come. This is a really good audition for some of those fringe NPL boys to make their mark at this great club. So there are guys who are going to be extra motivated to play for this club, play for this team. So what kind of impact could those guys have?
Yeah, look, we're fortunate enough to have this as a club where the boys who may not make it for the NPL, they can drop down and play with us. It's a pathway back for them. That's what we provide to them. We provide the knowledge that we can give them. It just makes them work harder, and they want to, fight for their positions back in NPL, or may it be for the first grade team in Premier League. So, look, we're really looking forward to the boys that we have, and just keen to play football.
Nick, you're a guy who's been here for a couple of years. You can speak about the sort of chemistry that this squad does have when it's at its best. I sort of recognise you guys as one of the most sort of larrikin groups growing, but I can't imagine that would have been happening all throughout the last season. So how does it feel going into this year? Is that sort of buzz and that sort of good positive vibe back around the squad?
Yeah, it's definitely back. It sort of never left last season. There was still that core group of us that, regardless of how many of us turned up, there was always that 12 that made it entertaining. And I think the new guys that have definitely come in have made that sort of connection with us and have joined in with that banter as well, which is really, really good. It's sort of helped us gel as a bit of a team. And so I think we're in for a much better season than last year.
Excellent. Now, Adam, from particularly a first grade perspective, you have been one of the guys who pioneered Prospect's push up. You survived that first cancelled season when I first joined. You then went up along with Creek, your rivals and friends. You survived a year. You've come down, and now you're rebuilding for the rebuild. So you have this amazing, incredible sort of roller coaster of a journey in Blacktown Premier League that is so unique, because other club footballers wouldn't have experienced a relegation, because it's not something that a lot of associations do. It's extremely unique, and the chance to have a second chance to go back up is even more 1 in a million. So it's even bigger, it's even smaller odds, I should say. So talk to me about sort of just the journey so far, and what your feelings are ahead of this year and the chance to have a go at getting back up.
Yeah, look, we've been through a lot. Obviously, getting promoted was a highlight. Surviving that first season was tough for us. We learned. Unfortunately, we went back down. We got relegated. But look, we're ready to do it again. We're keen to go. We're confident. The boys are confident behind everyone that we have. The club's behind us. Yeah, we've come from places in the dark, but we're heading towards what we want. And look, we've got goals. We're looking to achieve them. Man. We're keen.
I'm about to ask you, Nick, about goals as we wrap up, but I want to talk about Newbury first. They're not a team outside of friendlies that I think you guys would have played ever as a squad. And as people would have already seen, they've got some interesting players that are joining them. So there's been a lot of talk around them and some young players that they've brought in, some experienced players that they've brought in. And I think this Saturday we'll see what's concrete and what's not. But are you excited to just come up against some more familiar sort of PL2 level opposition and just show what you guys, especially you remaining guys, are capable of?
Yeah, look, some new clubs that we haven't come up against. We're really looking forward to it. We don't know what to expect, so we've got our goals, what we want to do, and yeah, just happy to play whoever we come up against. It's football in the end of the day. Whatever happens, it happens. But yeah, we're keen.
Let's talk about goals. Is there like a whiteboard in the change room that says we want to be here on the table, or is it perhaps a club championship goal? Is it maybe less tangible? Is there something in terms of a dynamic you want to sort of maintain throughout the season as a squad? What is it for Prospect?
I think it's first and foremost improving on last year. That's our main goal. And obviously wanting to get promoted again. Club championship is definitely something in our mind that we want to get back up to PL1 where we belong. I know that we've come back down, but we definitely have the skill and talent to get back up to PL1, no problem at all. So, yeah, that's definitely our goal, to get promoted again, but just making sure everyone keeps turning up week after week, turning up not only just for themselves but for the team. It's not just one person or reserve grade, first grade 21s. We're a squad, which is something that feels a lot different from last year, where it sort of felt like the 21s were there, first grade was there, reserve grade was filling that gap. Where this year definitely doesn't feel like that, which is a much better feeling. It's what feels more like the first season I joined, where I joined just after that promotion. So it was great. Everyone felt like a squad. So it's great to have that energy back, and that's definitely our goal, to get back up into PL1.
Excellent. Well, you've heard it now from the squad. The goal is to go back up. I certainly think that you guys are capable of doing that. And it's good to hear as well that at the forefront of that process is getting the band back together, if you like, and just getting that squad feeling back the way it was when it was at its best. I think there's no shame in admitting that you have some work to do, and I think it's really good and really brave, and I'm really excited to see what this season brings. Boys, thanks very much for joining me. I know it's awkward to come out here after a big trial match last night, so I really appreciate it. Hope you're well rested before Saturday, and thank you very much. You might think it might have been difficult for Prospect to have sounded so confident considering how last year went, but it's no surprise considering what they did to this PL2 competition in the 2 years that they did play here. 20 capped internationals, Danny Boozes. You tell me who comes out on top. Before we break into the Women's Premier League segments, I think we should talk about some fixtures that are coming up. After a tough start in the PL1, Polonia are tasked with Marion, the defending premiers. It's the Grand Age derby out of Glendenning, as Tigers will go and visit Doonside Hawks. What a cracker that could be. The Green Derby between Quakers Hill Juniors and Eastern Creek is between two teams that also won in round one. That'll be a really interesting matchup, I think. And Workers will take on their old friends at Riverstone. Ponds have the bye this weekend as well. As you know, in the PL2, the match of the round is at Blacktown Football Park on Field 1, and will be taking place between Prospect and Newbury. And honestly, these last couple of interviews have got me even more hyped for this game. In their welcome back to Premier League football, Spurs will take on Oakville, while Parkley will host Glenwood Redbacks in what proved to be a really key contest for the top four last year, and I think will be this year as well. Blacktown St Pat's take on Town Rangers FC, and off the back of my predictions, I said the Town Rangers will be one of the top two teams, and for St Pat's, this is the chance to get themselves back into top four contention this season. Minchinbury Jets, one of the new teams, does have the bye. A cracker in round two, as Kellyville Colts take on Parkley as we kick off the Women's Premier League fixtures. Ponds take on Ropes in the match of the round at Blacktown Football Park. Kellyville United, of course, formerly a lot of those players at Norwest, will take on Quakers Juniors in what could be a fun game, I think. Russell Rams take on Marion, two relatively evenly matched teams. I think that'll be a really fun and close one as well. And Quakers Hill Tigers will take on the champions from last season and then the champions from the first season in the opening two rounds. Holroyd. Speaking of WPL fixtures, I think we should talk to some of the WPL teams. We'll start with Ponds, who are technically the home team. Back at Ponds back at Jonas Bradley Reserve, but this time, and gratefully for the first time, involved with Women's Premier League podcast happenings. I'm joined by 𝙖𝙜𝙖𝙞𝙣𝙯 and by Blake Sker, one face that you're very familiar with, one that you're going to become very familiar with as the season rolls on. Blake, I'm going to start with you. How did the WPL coaching gig come to your desk? Were you keen to take it on, and how's it been so far?
Yeah, so Ponds just reached out, said we want to start a WPL team. Said it was a new challenge for the club, looking to do really, really well in their first year. Said they were looking for a coach and thought it would be a great opportunity. So, yeah, I was keen to jump on board and give it a crack and see how we went this year.
And you're enjoying it so far?
Yeah, it's really good. We're having a good squad. We are training very, very hard, which is good. We're struggling with a bit of injury and stuff, which has been fun trying to figure all that out as a coach. But other than that, really enjoying it.
Renee, welcome to the podcast. Pleasure to have you on and in our competition in general. Talk to us about being part of the leadership team here, perhaps even having the captain's armband, and how you help this new squad, this new team, gel into being a unit.
To be honest, it's been quite easy. Everyone gets along really well, which is amazing. A lot of the time at training we have a lot of fun, which is always good. I think that's been really helpful, in the lead up to the season. Having a good group of girls, it's always fantastic to especially lead a good group of girls too. So yeah, I've been quite lucky. Everyone's been so good. Gelling has been great. Blake makes it quite fun at trainings, which helps too. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far. So I can't complain. It's not much work to do with gelling, but it's been good.
Now I'll stick with you for this one, Renee. A first round 2-1 loss. Now a 2-1 indicates obviously a close scoreline. Did the game feel as close as the scoreline indicated? Could you have perhaps got a point or even 3 out of this one?
Oh yeah, definitely. It did feel a lot closer than 2-1. It was a tough game. With the pre-season that we had, we didn't get too much in before our round 1 game. So yeah, I definitely think that it didn't feel like a 2-1 loss. We had a few opportunities in the first half that we probably should have, seized, but obviously otherwise we couldn't. The second half ended up being a tough battle because it was 0 at half time. So we tried our best to come back, but couldn't get there in the end, fell a little bit short.
Anything to add on that from a coach's perspective, what you noticed from the technical area?
Yeah, I think obviously it was the first hit out for the girls in a full field game. We struggled, a lot of trials fell through. So we were kind of just out there piecing it all together, what we had worked on at training, but it's always different when you get out in the field and play in a full field game. I thought for a first hit out we did very, very well. We created a lot of chances. Unfortunately, we couldn't seize a lot of our chances, and we conceded some goals that maybe in the future I think we could set up to defend a bit better. I think with a few little tweaks, I think it's going to go a long way for us, and I think we'll be a very dangerous team in the comp.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Good to hear that. Well, I guess the good thing hearing it from that is that you're both saying the same thing about not finishing chances. So as long as you guys are on the same page, you sort of know what to work on going forward. So that's, I guess, a positive from a bit of the dark. I do want to talk about this match of the round coming up. Obviously, it's a very early, baptism of fire debut straight into the match of the round live stream. It's between two new teams from Blacktown as well. Now you're obviously aware of the score between Ropes and obviously the former champions Holroyd, and it was 9-0. But that could potentially be a banana skin because they might totally change their approach. They might be more motivated than you could possibly anticipate. Blake, from your perspective, obviously you have something to prove now after the first round loss. They have probably a little bit more to prove to the competition. So how do you avoid, potentially a banana skin in this one or something that you don't expect?
I think we just stick to the same game plan we went into the first game. I think it was just one of those days. I know as a striker, you can get in behind a million times. One day you score no goals. Other days you can get in behind and score 15. So I think with the chances we create and the speed we have up front, I think we'll be dangerous in attack versus any team. So I think, we take our chances and every game is going to be a very different game for us.
Renee, just something to add on the end quickly. Just in regards to your teammates, or you could include yourself in this, who should we look out for come the match of the round? Who's going to really stand out, and who might be the one who comes up with the goal?
I think in terms of to look out for, I think we have a pretty strong back line. So I think all of us as a unit, I have quite a lot of confidence in us. In terms of the one to look out for as a goal scorer, I'd probably say Shannon would get on the back of one this week. She's got a lot of potential up front. I think we saw it last weekend as well. She could definitely get on the back of some goals against ropes crossing, I think.
Well, the Blacktown comp certainly knows a lot about Shannon Murray, and she scored in round 1, of course, so we'll certainly be keeping an eye on her in her new colours. as the coach and as one of the star players and the captain of the side, thank you so much for joining me here, especially before your training as well. I really am appreciative. Good luck heading into this season, and thank you so much for your time. It looks like the squad is really strong, and even though they didn't get the win or any points for that matter of fact in round one, the team, I think, is capable of doing a lot of good things. Right. Ropes had a really difficult round one game where they went down by a pretty hefty margin. Is that a sign of things to come, or was that a freak result? I'll let you be the judge come Sunday, but let's see what they think themselves. I asked them all the tough questions and they braved the camera. Ropes Crossing are one of the 3 teams that have joined the WPL for its 3rd straight season running, and also one of 2 based out of Blacktown. I'm joined by 𝙉𝙚𝙬𝙗𝙪𝙧𝙮 and by Sam as well, who's one of the leaders in the squad. We're going to get to know Sam. We're going to get to hear more from Adam from a different perspective away from the board. I think it's going to be really exciting. So, Adam, I'm going to throw you straight away. Your second time on the podcast. You made your debut, I think, 2 years ago now. Talk to me about how you came around to building a WPL squad and how you've enjoyed the coaching gig so far.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, so we come about this, it's all about building female football, and we're a big believer in female football at the club. So building on sort of what we've done in the last few years and see this as an outlet for our juniors to sort of look up to. Coaching's definitely different. I've had the jobs in the past, coached the kids, coached the Division 1 ladies last year as well. It's a enjoyable thing, but yeah, I think it's rewarding, and yeah, it's different to running the club and everything like that. And this is sort of my little outlet that I can't play anymore, so I can at least get out in the training paddock and have a kick.
Sam, I've been told that you are one of the leaders in the squad, and I'm sure as we get into the first matches of the round of the season that we'll get to see that out on the pitch play out. But tell me about what you think your role is this year and how you've seen this squad gel together over the pre-season.
Pre-season we've done pretty well. We've had 3 trial games with 3 positive results. But coming into round 1 was a bit of an upset for us. I think missing a few key players and just gelling together with different positions and different things it is a bit difficult. But yeah, we're getting to know each other, getting to know each other's strengths and weaknesses. So it's been good so far.
Adam, you had to bring a squad together that came from a bunch of different places. Now I heard that there was a lot of teams that moved internally, some players that joined from elsewhere as well. So tell me about sort of how you sort of pitched it to people to bring this squad together, and how much excitement was there around in building this squad?
Yeah, so last year when I took over the Division 1 team, the goal was to sort of push those girls up into the Premier League. So really pushing them and getting their level up to this. So that was good, and we've got some of the girls involved in this squad. We've recruited Sam from our pretty successful over 30 Division 1 team as well. She's coming in with the experienced head. And then we've got, like I said, we've picked up some players from the Nepean Ruby League. So they've seen the hype around the Blacktown or the WPL and sort of wanted to come test it out. And I think we've been lucky enough, like I said, picked up a few players there and picked up some other players who ex-NPL experience. So it's a good mix, but yeah, like Sam mentioned before, it's just getting everyone to gel, and that's going to be. It's not going to be an overnight thing. It's sort of take a few weeks, and as we go on in the season, I think it's just going to come together.
I will get you both to touch on this next question. I just want to talk about the most recent result that's gone past. Coming up against the one-time champions and also two-time grand final appearance makers, 𝙖𝙜𝙖𝙠 is difficult, and the scoreline was a pretty harrowing reflection. 9 is not a great number in any sort of way. However, it doesn't always tell the full story, and I believe that we should give you the right to talk about that. So again, I'll ask both of you, but I'll start with Adam. Did it look like a 9-0 game? Because sometimes 9-0 games can just sort of happen when heads drop. So what did it look like, and was it fair in your eyes?
Yeah, look, I don't think any game should be 9-0, and I don't think we deserved 9-0 on the weekend. Obviously, we were competing for large parts, and there was lots of positives out of the match. A lot of soft goals, a few soft goals there, and a few errors on our end that sort of gifted them goals. But I think they took their opportunities when they come to them. So, look, they're the benchmark team, and I think, and I said to the girls before the game, I said, look, they're the benchmark, and this will really tell us where we're at and where we've got to get to over the next sort of 12 to 24 months. And I think that's the key thing. It's yeah, like I said, they deserve the win, and they deserve the win comfortably, but I don't think 9-0 is a reflective of the actual game.
Sam, obviously there's a project that's been spoken to you guys, again, 12 to 24 months. Your job, I guess, as part of that leadership group is to help keep the girls in check and keeping that goal in mind. So off the back of that first game, obviously it's tough up against such a good team, but there will be better days to come, no doubt. So what's your task tonight, for example, in training in order to get them to pick themselves back up?
I think with the 9-0, I don't think it really reflects of what kind of game it was. I think we can pull a lot of positives from the game on our behalf, but also those negatives that we did have on the game, we can definitely work out through training. I think in the next 4 or 5 games that we can iron out most of the issues that were the cause of the soft goals. But as Adam said, it's not a this season kind of goal we're not going to win the comp this season for sure, but I think over the next 1 to 2 years we definitely have a chance to be up mid-range, up to the top 4, hopefully. But it's not a project that's going to happen overnight. I think with the season working on those small little things will work out well for us next year, hopefully.
Very last question to you as well, Sam. Just in regards to some players that we could look out for on the match of the round this weekend, who, from a training perspective and from the friendlies, and who from your team have you noticed that's really stood out and, fans of the match of the round should look out for this weekend?
For this weekend, I think Erin at the back, very strong. She's got a wealth of knowledge and can really help the girls at the back line. Also, Beth in the centre, I think she dropped her head on the game on the weekend, but she's definitely one to look out for. She reads the game really well. And up front, I think Abby's got the speed that we have. She's got the great speed on our game as well. I think on the weekend, again, one of the players that did drop their head, but we're all working on that together. But I think this weekend they can really shine, especially with the conditions of a synthetic pitch. I think it will work in our favour.
It'll come in time, and the baptism of fire will continue on, not just for this team, I imagine, for the next couple of weeks, but also for the opposition this weekend, which makes this match of the round on Sunday, 3 p.m, so much fun up against Ponds, as well as you're about to see is also a team new to the competition this year. Guys, thanks so much for joining me tonight. I really do appreciate the bravery it takes to get onto this podcast, and I'll see you this weekend.
All right, thank you, Mark.
A big thank you to all of the 4 separate sets of guests that got involved with the podcast this week. It has been a mammoth task getting this all filmed, and I apologise that this has come out on a Friday night, but you'll just have to forgive me. This is how the nature of the podcast will be this year at times when it is busy, because we've all got working lives. The amount of action that we had over this last weekend was absolutely amazing. Some of the goals that I've seen go in, 4 free kicks in one game, 7 goals here, 9 goals there. It has been a weekend of action-packed drama. And I cannot say that I'm surprised, because this is what Blacktown and Women's Premier League football is all about. Thank you very much to our sponsors on the men's side, Lang and Simmons Blacktown Men's Premier League, the major sponsors that are helping us keep this competition ticking as the best association comp that there is around the gaff. And of course, the Women's Premier League is going to be another highlight on your Sundays. So, once again, my name is Mark Topoli. Thank you so much for being here. It is always an honour to be on this podcast and to host it for you. Don't forget to leave a like as well. That'd be really appreciated. And I'll see you next time. Cue the outro music. But it's fallen here towards Icon! Oh my word. And now played and struck and in! Further forward now to Ryan Dominiti! Wants a second goal. Isabel Webb should have a second goal!